moviegoers from the Warner Brothers branded Water Tower, capital of the world, Burbank, California. This is Film vs. Film. My name is Leonard Smith Jr., who single-handedly put MoviePass out of business. I'm joined by my fellow Cine East, Quinn Boys, who is a film fan that is rapidly approaching having seen 24 movies in his lifetime.
That's right, Leonard, give or take a dozen. So we're here, Leonard, thank you, to discuss our favorite movies from growing up, submitting and debating specific films that fit within a specific different prompt each week. It's all very arbitrary, but we will be keeping score all season long to see who's the ultimate film buff, and the loser has to do something they don't want to do. TBD.
I really don't want to do it. Quinn and I are friends. We're also improv teammates. We work well together comedically, maybe in other facets we really don't know, even though we're from different backgrounds. I mean, I think bagels in any form from anywhere are good. And he probably puts sugar in his grits.
Never had grits.
Our taste and consumption of films also differ. We will share, discuss, and most importantly, we will battle to see which movie is better. Which one is the winner? There's always a winner.
Gotta be a winner.
Last week, we talked about our biggest disappointment. Talladega Nights, man, that film was bad. But it lost. It lost to X3, The Last Stand, which was also very bad. Ricky Bobby... Okay, yes, the other one was worse. Anyways, I'm down 2-0 to Quinn right now.
You're stressing. I can hear you're sweating about it.
Yeah, I'm don't like. Stressed. There's a lot going on in my life right now, and this isn't helping. But I'm bringing some heat today. We got a good prompt. What's that prompt, Quinn?
The prompt this week was road trip movie. And notice I didn't say best, I didn't say worst. We just, the most prototypical, the most appropriate road trip movie.
And, we could have chosen a film that you want to watch on a road trip, has a road trip involved. I think we both went with...
You could choose the film Road Trip.
We could have chosen the film Road Trip. Maybe Euro Trip,
Yeah.
But we both went with a more the narrative of a road trip. And I chose... Actually, I'm going to let Quinn go first.
Okay, putting me on the spot. I am undaunted. I chose, I think, in many ways, the most heartwarming road trip film, Nary a Car. At least not for our protagonist, because they are animals. Leonard, I chose Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey from 1993. Homeward Bound, of course, is the story of two dogs and a sassy cat named Sassy who get separated from their family when they go on a trip.
Their family left them behind.
Their family may have abandoned them. There's a comedy of errors, miscommunication, but they get stuck in Sierra Nevada and they have to make their way home. They're homeward bound. It's a classic film. It's a movie I watched. I had the VHS growing up, and it was earmarked from all the times I just ripped the cassette out of it and put it in the VHS.
Wow,
and spin it again.
Times.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I feel like this movie was made for the suburban family.
Yep. I think so.
Okay. Well,
what was yours? That's a tough. I'm just gonna say I don't think there's a more indicative. Again, it's not good or bad. It's just road trip movie, and they were on an emotional road trip. They're on a spiritual road trip. What was your pick? How are you going to compete?
My film was made for the middle class family. It's National Lampoon's Vegas Vacation. Hell, the Griswold family. We all know about them, except for Quinn, who's never seen National Lampoon's Vacation movie.
I thought about this as I was watching it. Has anyone in the history of the world ever started the Vacation series with the fourth one, Vegas Vacation?
No, you are the first one. Maybe not. It came on Comedy Central all the time, which is the reason why I watched it. I did not own it on cassette or VHS, but I watched it all the time on Comedy Central. It's about the Griswold family. It's the last money grab before it all. It's the last one of the Chevy Chase franchise, and it's about them going to Vegas. It's all in the title, and a lot of fun ensues. Wayne Newton tries to fuck the mom, Beverly D'Angelo.
Yeah.
Chevy Chase has a gambling problem.
Yeah.
And Randy Quaid is Randy Quaid. Simply amazing. So, we got two good films today. I'm very excited. We have some criteria that we usually try to follow, that we change every week for the films.
We did adapt it slightly, just to help guide the conversation and maybe help us determine definitively which of our films is the better pick.
And this week, we have always influence on pop culture. How well does it hold up?
Was Samuel L. Jackson in it?
Was
That's
Samuel L.
number
Jackson?
3. 4 stats. This is we usually just look at Rotten Tomatoes for this one.
We look at Rotten Tomatoes.
Box office information. And then 5, we always do change 5. Well, we have so far. What is 5, Leonard?
Which movie holds your attention best? If you're on a road trip, since we both went with the more of a narrative of a road trip, we decided, okay, if you were actually on a road trip, which one of these movies would be better for that? This is the 5th criteria. Which one's going to hold your attention the best? And would you want to watch this on your road trip?
Yeah, important on a road trip movie. I mean, if you don't want to watch your road trip movie, then is it a road trip movie?
Exactly.
All right, before we get into those specifically, I mean, let's just talk about these movies in general. Leonard, you had a strong reaction to Homeward Bound, so I'm going to let you go first. Just go off. Just tell me as many things as you want about it. And,
sweet Jesus. This film, first of all, just the fact that the voiceover game in the 90s was crazy.
Yeah, this was a very 90s trope of like animals and babies just dubbed by famous actors.
Yes. Apparently dogs can bark and talk at the same time. Their mouth doesn't have to be open for them to talk. Is it telepathic?
It's telekinesis.
It's telekinesis?
It's telepathy.
Yeah.
It's telepathy.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes a lot more sense.
Well, I don't know that definitively. I think that's just what we're meant to assume.
Okay. But these 3 can talk to each other. I guess other dogs can talk to them and cats, but bears can't, porcupines, skunks. No other animals can talk to each other?
I think you
Only
have to be
domesticated?
You have to be domesticated. Because you hear humans all the time. A bear doesn't grow up hearing a human, so he doesn't understand
What about
English.
the cows and the chickens and shit on the farm? They hear human voices all the time. No horses talk to them. No cows talk to them. No chickens talk to them.
Damn, that's a good point.
Okay? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. And then when humans talk to them, if they get this from humans, the humans talk to them, they don't know what the fuck they're saying. He was clearly telling Shadow at the beginning of the film, hey man, the film starts with Bob, their dad, stepdad Bob,
Yep.
future stepdad marrying their mom. The mom has 3 children, and one of them is a toddler who's like 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I guess their dad died, and she remarried very quickly.
Unclear.
Because if you're getting married, you got to be dating for at least a couple years before you get married.
Maybe
so
he went to
where did this
prison.
toddler come from?
I don't know. This is the first movie, all right? There's no movie about the inception of that toddler.
Is the toddler both of theirs? It doesn't really ever say. There's a narration. Shadow gives you the narration, and you're thinking, oh, this is a human talking, and they're like, oh, it's a dog.
There are 3 animals. There's 2 dogs and a cat, and they're voiced by,
Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox, who plays the young bulldog pup who is rambunctious and does not know the ties of family. And then there's Shadow, who is the narrator and the older...
I don't know who he is, but his voice sounded very familiar, and it was kind of like throwing me off while watching the film.
The internet is telling me it is Don Amech. I hope I'm pronouncing that last name right. He died the year this movie came out, but he was like a film actor from way back, dating to like the 30s. So he just kind of had that old, kind of wizened voice that they needed for the part of Shadow.
It sounded familiar. And then, of course, Sally Field, who was amazing.
Is it disrespectful to Sally Field that I literally, until I checked today, I remembered it as being Roseanne Barr?
That's very disrespectful.
I just, in my mind, it was Roseanne Barr.
This whole film was very disrespectful. This shit made no sense. It was obviously like, all right, let's just try to make a movie for moms and kids and suburban families. Because it's just literally still shots of animals and then voiceover of it. But then there's also a lot of running and a lot of things. The thing I was most impressed with about this film were the animals. Who trained these motherfucking dogs and cats? It was wild. They were doing crazy things. And I was like, how did they get them to do what they wanted to do? Obviously, I'm thinking they got a bunch of footage of these dogs doing random and cats doing random things.
And then they built the story around it.
More to it, or do voiceover added to it. Like they had a script, and then
there's a lot of like space for like improv in the script.
Like there's a scene where the dog's collar gets like stuck on the fence, and it looks like the dog is like literally hurting. Like there were times where I'm like, this if PETA was around,
they were.
They were.
This was
very unhappy with this film. There was a lot of times I'm like, that the cat sassy in the water?
Yeah.
I'm just going to say this. I was watching the film. The entire time I was just laughing with anger and hate for Quinn for making me watch this.
I did. We should say briefly, I called an audible. I initially gave you Midnight Run, which
Robert De Niro did a comedy?
It's a great Robert De Niro, Charles Grodin, like, comedy about a bounty hunter that needs to bring a guy somewhere for something. It's good, and it's funny. And then I was like, it's not going to be as fun as making Leonard watch Homeward Bound.
Thank God he changed it, because I was about to spend that $5 to watch Midnight Run on Amazon.
You texted me and you said, this is wild. All caps at 12:15 a.m. So you watched this late last night.
Yes,
and
I started this movie at about 11:45, and I was just like, this movie makes no fucking sense. And it makes a little sense. It's very savvy. I understand it. But just the whole overall picture of just like the voiceover made no sense. The story kind of made no sense. And the shit
it's
that
a
they
simple
were making,
story. They just want to go home.
They just want, that makes
Would
sense.
you agree they went on a road trip?
They did want to go home. The things that these animals were doing, I was just like, this is amazing, but also concerning.
This was after the, like, no animals were harmed in the making of this production PETA tag that has to be on the end of, I think it must have been on this movie. So I guess I'm just saying they threw a bobcat off a mountain, off a cliff into a river. I don't think they really did it. So all harm you see enacted against animals, I believe, is just staged.
It looked like a taxidermy, like.
Can you explain that? Because you put that on your Instagram.
It's very large, but the science behind this.
Set the scene. What?
Okay, so Shadow and Chance have lost Sassy, who they think, and we all thought, died in a river.
There's a couple times. This is a kids movie. There's a couple times where the pets are just. You just assume the pets are dead.
It got very dark.
Yes.
And it was like, are they forcing parents' hands? And like having to explain things to
I had to
children?
mourn each of those animals at different times during the film.
They all had a very concerning moment at each time.
But so yeah, the Sassy they think is dead, and they're
on their way, and they're trying to get food, and then Chance notices a mountain lion. Shadow is in the water trying to get some food. They start running. Shadow, having the wherewithal and apparently the capability in mind to be like, I see this rock, and I know the children use the seesaw because you see the children on a seesaw, so it's like you kind of like maybe the dog saw them on a seesaw, so he's like, I'm gonna seesaw this motherfucking lion into a ravine, and apparently
off a cliff into a ravine like 100 yards below,
into a ravine. And not only was it like they weren't right next to the edge, they were a good 20-30 feet away from
so
the
he
edge.
had to get some lift and some launch.
Chance probably jumps about, who gets distracted when he's supposed to jump, and then he jumps maybe about 15-20 feet, which a dog doing this is also crazy. Lands on a rock, and apparently has enough weight to launch a fucking 200-pound mountain lion.
This dog is like 20 pounds.
30 feet. This mountain lion was flying.
It's like the ending of Temple of Doom. He just falls down to his death below, and then they cut to him in the water, and the mountain lion's just like bobbing.
Swimming. And I was just like,
crawls to the side.
This is fucking wild. This is about a good 45 minutes, 50 minutes into the film.
Yeah.
And the film is literally just a montage of cats and dogs running with voiceover.
They didn't even do the thing that they used to do for horses where they put peanut butter on the top of their mouth so the mouth moves and then they dub it with a human voice.
Exactly.
Which also doesn't make sense. But like that presupposes that like dogs have and cats have the ability to speak English. They just don't do it around us. Like telepathy makes just as much sense.
Oh boy. And also there's the whole family dynamic of new dad. You're not my dad.
Yep.
The son going to the police station. And the cop just being like, what the fuck is wrong with you, kid? But then also being like, but cops are cool.
It's suburbia.
Yes, it was wild. And apparently the dad's not. It seems like the dad's a piece of shit at first, and then
he's a good guy.
And then he's not.
Stepdads are okay. I mean, there are a lot of movies being like, be afraid of your stepdad. I feel like this is a more, optimistic outlook.
Everything works out in the end. And then there's the the part at the end of the film where they're all coming back and
Yeah.
Shadow's the last.
This is what I wanted to ask you
like,
about. Did you cry?
I remember as a child being very sappy and empathetic about it. I was very cynical about it last night. I was just like, this is fucking stupid.
Really?
Yes, I was just angry the entire film. The only time I felt really concerned or like actual feelings was when Sassy went into the river. I was like, hey, Sassy. I was thinking about the cat. I was like, poor fucking cat. And I just couldn't get over that watching the film. I was like, there are certain shots. I'm like, how did they get this shot? And I'm like, maybe they're holding the cat and they're like, it's like a close up of her like looking like almost young. I'm like, someone has to be holding a cat and just has a camera like in front of her or something. I was concerned for the animals.
Sure.
Basically entire time.
That's okay. So yeah, I mean, maybe they played with your heartstrings. They plucked it one too many times before, so you had no more emotion left to give Shadow. But that part of that movie for me as a kid, always made me well up. When you see Shadow come over, it's very cinematic. You like they're looking. The dogs have just come out of the woods back to the family. Shadow's not with them. They kind of wait. He's not coming, and then you see him come over the ridge. It's a great ending. You have a heart of stone.
I just was cynical about it because I already knew that everything was going to work out in the end. Even though they go back to their old home to wait for the dogs.
Yeah.
So what happens after that? They take the dogs back to the motherfucking farm and go to San Francisco.
There's a sequel, Lost in San Francisco.
But I'm talking about the end of this film.
I don't know.
I don't think
Why do you want to know what happened to the characters before? You want to know how the baby gets born and who its father is, and you want to know what they do afterward? Just focus on the 90 minutes they give you.
Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. All right, enough of that.
All right.
Enough of my rant. I'm probably going to have to cut some of this. Anyway,
no.
Enough of my rant.
Don't you dare. My film that you picked for me was not National Lampoon's Vacation, which is, again, I've seen none of them, but from my understanding, a classic.
Oh, this is a great film.
Not Christmas Vacation, which people also think is like kind of a holiday classic.
I think it's the best one.
Yeah.
But it's not really it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah. So you gave me National Lampoon's 1997. Actually, National Lampoon is not in the title. I read something about it. Like, this is the only one, for whatever reason, it's not National Lampoon.
It's not on here. And
I mean, it may be, but like the others,
National
it's
Lampoon.
part of the title. So that's a fun fact. You gave me Vegas Vacation, starring known jerk asshole Chevy Chase.
Once revered.
Not by this point. Beverly D'Angelo, Wayne Newton, a couple other familiar faces.
Randy Quaid. Don't forget Randy Quaid.
How is it possible Randy Quaid is more insane now in real life than he is as Cousin Randy in these movies?
I honestly wouldn't even know because I stopped paying attention to Randy Quaid. I don't know if I really ever paid attention to him.
Sure, yeah. This was like Independence Day era Randy Quaid, where he like finally kind of looks. Yeah. I just had some notes. I can just go through and we can talk about it.
Yes, I just talked about Homeward Bound for a very long time. Go ahead.
Just some of these are more rhetorical. Some of them require an answer from you. Do you think anyone in the history of the world has started the Vacation series with Part 4 Vegas Vacation, or have I done something no one else has ever done?
I would say probably you. Honestly, I think I am also one of those people.
Okay.
I think I saw Vegas Vacation before I saw any of them.
And then you like went back where you're like, I need to know, because you love apparently finding out how people got into their situations before. So you're like, I have to see the first 3 movies.
Yeah, I just think the fact that it came on Comedy Central all the time when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
That's when I watched it. And I know growing up, like watching any of these films was not in my household a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned about the National Lampoon's whole even series or even existence. I didn't learn about that until I was like in my later teen years.
Okay.
So I'm actually assuming that I'm with you there watching it for the first time. Now, as an adult and being by this age, you're probably the first 28-year-old or to whatever 25-year-old to watch.
I'm 46. Yeah, then there's some things like I haven't seen the movies, but I kind of know like the jokes or the things that people know about them. Like I knew that like the kids are always different in each movie. Like they recast some of the kids. Like the first one, it's Anthony Michael Hall, and like in this one, it's Ethan Embry. So the kids don't age with the parents.
They kind of age, but
yeah,
not too much.
Not to account for like the decade plus between like the first and the
like
fourth.
Christmas Vacation, he's like 14.
Oh, really? So he goes backwards sometimes?
Vegas Vacation, Rusty's like 20.
Oh, yes, yeah. I mean, it's unclear. He's still like got a child's mind.
Yes.
But he does look like he's about 20, but it doesn't seem like he's like home from
18.
college.
I think he's like 18.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And the daughter gets the short end of the stick in this movie. Literally, she goes to, I don't remember her name because she is the least well-developed character. She goes to Vegas, and the biggest issue is she just wants to be like a Vegas dancer, like on the Strip, which is fine, but it's not like they stay away from her a long period of time, and then you just see her at the end of the movie and she's just like at a nightclub dancing in a cage, and Chevy Chase is like, not my daughter, and he like throws her over his shoulder. Meanwhile, Rusty has this whole like thing where he's going through the hotel, he's like got a fake ID, he's known as Papa Giorgio, and he's like really good at playing craps or something. Like he has much more to do.
They did her a disservice for
sure. And isn't like Juliette Lewis is, I think, the daughter in like Christmas Vacation. I don't know. It seems like that used to be more of a role.
No, Julia Lewis was like the annoying neighbor.
Oh, okay. No, that's Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Okay.
Juliette Lewis is like isn't she from like Cape Fear and stuff?
I apologize. I apparently think all white women named Julia Lewis are the same.
You got Julia versus Juliet mix up here is I think what happened. It's all good. A couple other. Okay, so they just like the movie starts and Clark comes home. He's just like, hey, work's been going well. Let's go to Vegas. Like there's never been less reason for a movie to start. I don't know how these movies typically start. Like I think they have, if you're like, oh, it was
the fourth time they didn't need a fucking
there's like,
let's just go
we're
ahead
going to Vegas.
and
all the family members are like, oh, Vegas isn't really a place you go with your family. And he's just like, oh, it'll be great. Come on. Like
let's talk about that.
All right.
Have you been to Vegas?
No, I've lived in LA for 6 years now. I've never been to Las Vegas.
I went to Vegas.
Is it fun? It looks terrible.
What's that?
Is it fun? Because it looks terrible.
It is. For me, it's kind of terrible. Honestly, as a person I am today, I'd say it's terrible because I don't like to gamble because I don't have money. I'm not a big drinker. And fuck clubs. I like to dance, but I'm not standing in line paying.
You do like to dance.
There's good food, but now who wants to go to Vegas? It's fucking pandemic, and
I think Vegas is like one of the few places open. I think Vegas is just like we don't give a shit.
And what I went there before I moved to LA, and I've been there one time since I moved to LA, and I never understood people who bring their fucking families to Vegas.
Yeah.
Especially when you bring your fucking 10-year-old kids, 12-year-old kids walking through a casino and there's like people drunk and in bikinis and fucking women on the Strip with their bodies out, and which is cool. But it's like, what can children do in Vegas? What's the point?
Yeah, well, both kids are too young to gamble. Actually, so that means they're not. Well, you have to be 18 or 21 to gamble.
I don't know. And okay, I don't think they are old enough. And
they're not.
Me being a kid, which is funny, I was still cynical as a kid when they all win the cars at the end of the movie.
Yes, they're not old enough to drive them.
They're not even old enough to like win the cars. You have to be 8. Like,
well, he won them because he had a fake ID.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's all bullshit. So we're I'm trying to wrap my head how to come about this movie because there is no plot. The plot of the movie is that Clark has a severe gambling addiction. He loses $22,600, but it's not by like funny happenstance. There's one scene where he's at dinner with his family and his son's like, oh, I'd like to gamble. I wish I could. And Clark's like, don't you dare gamble. And then he gets up from the table. It's like one long tracking shot. He leaves the restaurant that they're in adjacent to the casino. He goes and he puts down like $100 on black, and then he loses it, and then he's just like, and then he walks back to the table and has dinner. I'm like, this isn't funny. This is a gambling addiction.
Very concerning.
It's a very concerning gambling addiction.
Very concerning. It literally, the plot of the movie is people are terrible and families suck.
The plot of the movie is Wayne Newton wants to have sex with Beverly D'Angelo, who still got it, by the way, in this movie. Got it. And that's the most progression of the plot is Wayne Newton sees her from like across the casino floor. He like sends her a gown. He invites them front row to his can we talk about the I mean, this is like I think Vegas may have funded this movie. So they go to Vegas. They see a Siegfried and Roy show, which is probably the best way to carbon date this movie, is that it was when Siegfried and Roy was like the biggest thing in the world.
Attack.
Before the incident. And they see the show and they like chop up the thing, but they show you like the entire show. Like it's sort of like a brochure. It's like, come to Vegas, you could do this.
Oh, for sure Vegas was involved in this film.
Then they see a Wayne Newton show where he pulls Beverly D'Angelo up onto stage to sing "Loving You Is Easy Because You're Beautiful," and then she hits that high note, that at the end, and Clark, she hits it like very earnestly, and then like it's supposed to be like an orgasm joke because they're leaving the theater, and Clark's like, "I've never heard you hit that note before," and she's like, "Oh, don't worry about it." So she is, and then she's like, "I think I'm going to go upstairs and take a bath." So this movie is all about the sexual tension between Beverly D'Angelo and Wayne Newton.
Yes, and her husband is so blind.
Yeah, he's too busy losing everyone's money, all their savings,
losing all their savings to gambling. But we haven't talked about the best part about this movie.
Yeah, what is it?
Randy Quaid.
Randy Quaid.
Oh man, I forgot his name. Cousin.
Is it not just Cousin Randy? All right, let me look it up.
I think it's Cousin Randy.
I mean, we're going to keep calling him Randy Quaid. It doesn't matter what his name is. I feel like he'd be playing himself.
Cousin Eddie.
Cousin Eddie. All right, well, this character I also like haven't seen the early movies, but I know what the deal is. And I think it's just like if you know Randy Quaid, you know what the deal is. He's just there when they show up. They don't mention, I don't think they mention like we're gonna go see Cousin Eddie, but he's just like walks up to them at the casino. Clark always loses when he's gambling and Eddie is there. They live in a trailer outside of town and they cook chicken on rocks under the sun because they're so poor. And then his daughter is a pole dancer, and there's like a quasi incest joke where like he kisses her full on the mouth for like a second or something.
Whoa, I don't remember that.
Maybe that's not what it was intended to be, but
it might have been.
Randy Quaid, man, I don't trust them. But I'm just saying, go ahead.
I mean, it's great. I mean, he's the favorite part of it.
Remember the scene where he's like, "Oh, I'll go to Vegas with you guys. Let me just get the babysitter for the kids," and then he takes out a box of snakes. And he lets it loose in the field where his children are playing.
And it's like, how many children were there?
It's a joke. How many? You never know. There's like 8 kids.
That's what I'm saying. There were like at least 8 kids.
Yeah, and he lets the snakes out in the field in the tall grass where the children are playing, and he goes, "Kids, got it." And he goes, "I'll keep them occupied for 7 hours."
Yeah, just all the jokes and tropes with Randy Quaid.
Some classic redneck humor.
Casino.
Yeah.
The buffet.
Yeah, Clark's trying to win his money back, and so he takes him to a bootleg casino where you play like the worst games with the worst odds. So there's like a pick a number between 1 and 10, or what hand am I holding the object in, or what was it?
Was it what number am I holding behind my back, or was it pick a number?
There's literally the thing where you hold out 2 fists and you're like, pick one.
Yeah.
There's pick a number between 1 and 10, which is just going on the honor system that someone will tell you if you're correct. Oh, war. You could just play war. Like, it's just straight up.
Yeah.
And Clark proceeds to lose even more of his money.
The buffet, just him showing him around.
Oh, yeah, they get 1 plate.
Oh, God. The yellow stuff or the blue. Oh, that's good stuff. You want some more of that?
Don't be cheap on me. And then the film ends totally undeservedly. Chevy Chase has lost his entire family's savings. He's lost like $5,000 of Eddie's money. And then they're like, there's a game where if you put down $2 and you pick 10 numbers right out of 100, you win $30,000. And it's like, well, that's pretty convenient because they needed like $28,000. They play it, they lose, but they meet an old man who's like, oh, cherish family. Like they try to shoehorn in this moral at the end. Like it's always been a story about family. And then the old man wins. Playing next to them, he wins. His ticket is the winning ticket, so he wins $30,000, and then he dies. So the movie ends with them robbing an old man, stealing $30,000 from the estate of this old man, who they just assume has no next of kin.
No family.
And then they all drive away in their own 4 new cars. They each take a new car and drive it home, which I think you're right. I don't know if those kids are all old enough to drive.
They won the cars as well, right?
Yeah, and the son won them as Papa Giorgio because he kept playing like penny slots or whatever, where you like put in 1 coin and you can win a car, and he won 4 cars, which is like, so why did you even need to make up the $30,000? Just sell one of the cars.
Exactly.
It's a ridiculous movie.
It's very ridiculous, but it's also hilarious.
I don't think it's good, but I did laugh at it. There's a scene, and again, like, Chevy Chase sucks. I don't like rooting for Chevy Chase, but there's a scene where he's like tipping a maitre d' or something, and he's just like, or it's at the Wayne Newton show maybe, and he's like, seat us somewhere up front, and he just like puts his hand in his hand like he's gonna slip him a $5 or something, and he just has like 25 nickels or something, and so and that's kind of like, okay, whatever. But the guy who plays like the maitre d' just lets all the he doesn't close his palm. He lets all the change roll off his open hand. Like he's like, I'm not even gonna close my fist at this insult. And then like Clark like gives him more coins. I mean, there's funny stupid bits. They go to the Hoover Dam. Remember the Hoover Dam thing?
I forgot about that.
They're like visiting the Hoover Dam because when you're in Vegas, you can't have the whole thing on the casino floor. So let's have an outing. And like Clark is like scaling the side of the Hoover Dam. He's swinging down on a wire that it's like George of the Jungle type shit. The movie totally changes.
Okay, I don't remember that at all.
And they keep making the easiest shit. Like the guy on the tour is like, take all the damn pictures you want. Ask me any damn questions you have. This is the damn tour. And I'm like, is this like really the joke? Is that D-A-M damn is like D-A-M-N?
There's cursing in it.
It's rated. Maybe it's rated PG. What is this movie rated?
It is rated.
I can't find it.
Homeward Bound is rated G. I know that.
I don't think.
Wow, Vegas Vacation is rated PG.
Dude, that's it. That's why. Because they had a PG movie. You have to make that joke. Like, damn, I'm talking about the thing that holds back the water. Like, that's
exactly.
so.
Like I said, it was made for the middle class family.
A movie where the primary plot is that Wayne Newton wants to have sex with a married man's wife is rated PG.
The plot is your family is living comfortably, but one mistake can ruin it all, and you could be poor.
It's a cautionary tale against gambling addiction, I guess. Although they won it all back so easily.
Okay. So let's talk about the criteria.
Let's move on. Yeah.
First criteria: pop culture influence.
This movie has no pop cultural influence. Any pop cultural influence Vegas Vacation has is borrowed from earlier vacation movies.
Yes, I feel like if there's any pop culture influence, it's from Randy Quaid and like those few scenes.
Yeah. Cousin Eddie is an enduring character.
Yeah, excuse me, Cousin Eddie. I'll keep calling him Randy Quaid from Cousin Eddie's character. Other than that, I feel like the only other pop culture, actually, Wayne Newton's in it.
Wayne Newton was in a James Bond movie like in the late 80s. Does Wayne Newton just like being in movies? Like what?
Wayne Newton trying to get them checks, man. Other than that, I don't really think. I mean, except for like hating Chevy Chase.
Yeah, this was like he definitely looks like closer to Chevy Chase today by this point than like Chevy Chase of like SNL in the 70s and stuff. Yeah. It's like middle-aged Chevy Chase and kind of
All right, so all right, not really. I don't think we really picked either two very pop cultural referenced or.
I would say similar like
movies.
Homeward Bound came out in an era where, for whatever reason, like I would give it the edge because like Look Who's Talking, where like Bruce Willis voices a baby, and like this was like a weird era. What was that Polly movie about like the parakeet or the not the parakeet, the parrot that like what's
her name in it? That was from that little girl.
Yeah, there's I don't know who, but basically this was an era of time where there were a ton of movies where celebrity humans were just voicing animals or babies. So I feel like that is its own kind of pop cultural moment. I don't know specifically Homeward Bound. Michael J. Fox voicing an animal years before Stuart Little.
Never seen it, but okay.
Okay.
I was going to say maybe the pop culture reference on this was like, hey, we can't do this anymore. It's time to go to animation, to a new form of animation. And Pixar was like, we're here.
So maybe that's a wash. Number 2, how does it hold up? I mean, we've been talking. I guess Vegas Vacation doesn't not hold up, but I don't know if it was holding up at the time. I mean, you're saying the animal cruelty is, I don't know, I haven't watched it as recently as you, but you're saying the animal mishandling is maybe
it's concerning.
It's bad looking back.
I could not stop thinking about it during the movie.
But would you rather
but I also was very impressed with the animals. Like,
Yeah.
fuck everybody else in the movie.
Yeah.
These animals were doing like some wild shit. I was like, damn, how did they get these animals?
What's that Harrison Ford movie that just came, like Call of the Wild or something? Did you see the trailer for that?
Movie looked god awful.
Would you rather that? And would you rather they have a human in like an Andy Serkis costume playing a dog? Because that's what they did for that movie. They CGI'd that dog.
Really?
Yeah, and so you see Harrison Ford like petting the dog. He's petting a man on all fours, kind of looking up at him with his tongue out. It's wild. I'll send you a YouTube video. You got to find it.
I prefer that.
You would rather that?
Sure.
Oh, you just said the most impressive part was the animals.
Was that?
You said the most impressive part was the animals. Now you're trying to take their jobs.
No, I'm saying the most impressive. Yes. Yes, I am. The most impressive part was the animals, but that's not a good thing.
All right. I think pop culture is kind of a wash, but I'm going to give it to Homeward Bound because of the talking animals thing. Does it hold up? I'm going to say Vegas Vacation holds up worse. So we could say we're tied going into 3.
Okay.
If we want to just...
I feel very opposite about this, but okay.
All right. Well, even opposite, we'd still be tied at 1.
All right.
Number 3. Was Samuel L. Jackson in your movie?
No.
He was not in Vegas Vacation either.
Damn it. He was not.
He could have been. He was pretty famous by 97.
Yeah. He was too famous for this by 97.
I think that brings you out. He shouldn't have. It would have been a bad choice, but he could have been in this movie. So when Samuel L. Jackson is not in a movie, we talk about who he could have
not
been.
in Homeward Bound either.
Who could he have been in Homeward Bound, do you think?
I feel like if they were, in any way rational about there's no rationality to it, but I feel like he has to be like the mountain lion or another animal. Why does the mountain lion not talk? Like, I don't understand it. It makes no sense.
He lives in the forest. He doesn't know English.
Like, this movie was just like, hey, all these animals run into other animals in the wild. It's like first the bear, then the skunk.
Oh, he would have.
Then the porcupine.
Would it have made sense to make him the bear? My thinking was he would be Shadow. Like an old, but like instead of like old.
Fuck no.
No?
No.
He's probably not old enough. Today he could be Shadow.
Maybe they added first of all, there should have been, I feel like Chance at first, they were trying to make him seem like he was the black dog because he's like, man, I've been to the pen before. Like, I'm not going back.
And when you need that character with that kind of edge, you go to Michael J. Fox from Back to the Future.
Oh my God. I feel like this movie
That's a good point.
Too corny for Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
But if they did have a fourth dog, I feel like he's like, I don't know what type of dog he would be. What type of dog would he be?
I feel like if I answer this question wrong, it's racist. I don't know what kind of dog Samuel
He's gonna
Jackson.
be a Rottweiler. He's gonna be a pit bull.
Well, that's what Michael J. Fox, or he was
He's
a
boxer.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like whatever dog he would have been, he'd be like, I ain't going up that motherfucking hill.
Right. That's why I think like Samuel L. Jackson coming over the hill at the end of the movie as Shadow would have been very funny because he'd just be pissed off. I feel like all the, like he's the leader in the way Shadow is, but in a Samuel L. Jackson kind of way.
You motherfuckers shouldn't have left us.
Yeah, exactly. Like you lead by intimidation and not like, let's all stick together. In Vegas Vacation, I think you're not going to like this. I would like to see what he would do as Cousin Eddie.
Not Randy Quaid.
Yeah. I mean...
No, I feel like he'd be a funny-ass Cousin Eddie.
Right? I just feel like Samuel L. Jackson is funnier than we sometimes... Like, I feel like the thing that happens with Samuel L. Jackson now sometimes, which is tired, is if you need a badass, you just cast Samuel L. Jackson, and he swears at you at the screen, and everyone's like, great. And we love him for that. But he's funny, and I don't feel like he gets the opportunity to be funny quite as often.
I thought this movie looked terrible, but my roommates convinced me to watch it, and it was actually damn funny. I'm sure the ratings might be terrible. I don't know. But The Hitman's Bodyguard.
Oh, yeah, with Ryan. I have not seen it, but...
check it out. It's actually funny. And also, the classically, like, making fun of the, like, trope of him being the badass or whatever.
Yeah.
The other guys was hilarious.
Yep.
With him and The Rock.
I just think him, like Cousin Eddie, Samuel L. Jackson in, like, a Tommy Bahama shirt and, like, shorts, just strolling through a casino with a yard-long drink in his hand. Yes. Like, he could have put his own spin on that for sure.
Hilarious. So that
also, Chevy Chase would have been so uncomfortable doing scenes with Samuel L. Jackson. You just know that's true.
He would have put him in his motherfucking place.
Exactly. It would have been a much different dynamic.
So I believe if we're going to talk about Samuel Jackson in it, or would he have made it better, he would have for sure been better and fitting for Vegas Vacation.
I think you're right. Yes, I think putting him in, having Samuel L. Jackson's voice shouting at you from a disembodied dog is probably
not what you want.
Too much for kids.
Also, like, there's no way he could have been in Homeward Bound in like 1993 because he just did like that. Like, what was that movie where he like kills the dude who like raped his daughter? Like,
oh God. I'm glad he's died. I hope he burns in hell.
A
Time to Kill.
A Time to Kill.
Yeah.
There's no fucking way. It's like, I'm going from A Time to Kill to Homeward Bound.
Can someone make a movie, a mashup where they take Samuel L. Jackson's lines from A Time to Kill and put it over like Shadow the Dog or the mountain lion in Homeward Bound?
Yes.
Yes, he deserved to die, and I hope he burns in hell after they launch a mountain lion into the water.
He deserved to die. Wow. That might have to happen.
Someone should do that. Okay, let's quick go through stats. I'm just gonna do some box office. Vegas Vacation, according to Wikipedia, cost $25 million, made $36.4 million. So it made money, but that's probably not. It's like a modest success, or like it just made its money back. That's not like, this was clearly the last one. It wasn't making enough money that demanded a sequel. There is no stated budget that I am seeing. I'm sure we could maybe track it down.
Homeward Bound, I'm not seeing a budget either.
But it made $41.8 million, and there's no way it cost $25 million when your main three actors are domesticated animals. Yeah. There are no stars in this movie. I'm sure you have to pay Michael J. Fox and Sally Fields, but not that much for voiceover. You're not paying them like $5 million.
And you know what? I was thinking, I was just so detached watching this film.
Yeah.
I just couldn't focus. And I was just thinking, how much do the handlers get paid? I feel like the handlers are the ones who get paid. It's like who does the handler own the dog, or are they just the handler? Like, does the person who owns the dog get paid, or is it the handler? Like,
did you notice it was they credit Michael J. Fox and Donna Mesh, and I hope I'm saying that name right, and Sally Field as the voices, and then they credit the dogs too. It's like Rex played, so there's like,
that's hilarious.
Okay, so I think we can agree Homeward Bound was probably more of a financial success. At least this one spawned a sequel, and Vegas Vacation was like end of the line.
It was part of a sequel.
Right. But
it was the last money grab.
Also, reception. Vegas Vacation, Leonard, I don't want to shock you, is not well reviewed.
Oh, I believe it.
Got 13% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I believe it.
This might surprise you. Homeward Bound has 87% approval on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, because it is very, very set for a certain demographic.
And that demographic reviews movies on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's the boys' family. You were watching the Homeward Bound, and I was watching Mortal Kombat.
Listen, it tugs at the heartstrings, okay? It's a well-made film where no animals were harmed.
How the fuck did this movie get 87%?
This was the renaissance for movies where dogs and cats were voiced by actors. I'm telling you, this was like a huge deal. Everyone loved these movies. We couldn't get enough of them.
6.9 out of 10 on IMDb.
That's still pretty good.
When you say everyone loved these movies, you mean the people who were willing to sit through this hot garbage.
I think kids liked it, and
yes, children liked it.
Yeah. I don't think. Listen, we've established Vegas Vacation was rated PG. Okay, so if you're,
which is insane when, like you said, that the biggest plot, the main plot, one of the main plots, the two main plots is degenerate gambling.
All right,
and someone trying to fuck someone's wife.
Leonard, I think before we get to the fifth criterion, we should play a game.
Yeah, because these stats are it's kind of hard to do stats.
So we'll just workshop through it a little bit. We've established these are both, Homeward Bound is G, but these are both PG or below rated films. So they're both kids movies.
Yes.
So this is the road trip episode. If we were kids, if we're brothers on a road trip and mom and dad are in the front seat and we're driving in the car and we've been driving down to Florida, it's going to be 36 hours in the car. We stop by a movie theater. They're like, which movie do you want to watch, kids? And Homeward Bound is playing and Vegas Vacation is playing. And you want to see your movie, Vegas Vacation. Yes. You got to fight for your pick. And I want to see Homeward Bound.
Okay.
Convince mom and dad. I'll let you go first.
Mom, dad, dad, mom. We gotta stop. We gotta stop and see a movie. Come on. First of all, it's not even really an option to watch Homeward Bound because we're a cool family. We're not lame, okay? Okay? It's not like we go on 4 vacations a year. We get one road trip a year, okay? And if we're gonna enjoy it, we need to enjoy it the most. And that's with some fun and with some laughs. That's right. Let's go watch Vegas Vacation.
Mom.
It's got a story for everybody. For you, Mom, for you, Dad,
Mom.
for me.
Mom. Okay, listen, Mom. Remember how you said Saturday Night Live got better after Chevy Chase left? Why would you want to watch Vegas Vacation, Mom? You didn't even like Chevy Chase, okay? But you know what you did like? Calvin Klein, Cars' Boys, our cat, okay? Can you imagine what would happen if he went missing? I'm so afraid I don't even want to think about it. But Homeward Bound is about the resiliency of animals through the love for their owners to come home and overcome all odds. This is our story. Everyone can relate to this story, Mom. Come on.
Mom, I know you love animals. And since you do, you're not going to want to watch this film because you're going to be concerned. You're going to be upset. And not only do you want to see a dog lying in some mud, hurt, potentially about to die, giving up on himself, ready to die? Do you want to see a cat almost drowned in a river? Do you want to see these animals forced to do things they don't want to do?
Dad, remember when you lost the house on a card game? Remember we had to live with Grandma and Grandpa in the rec room? I don't want to see you go through that again, okay? Vegas Vacation is a flippant film about the dangers of gambling that does not take it seriously. I've heard Chevy Chase loses upwards of $20,000 in this movie, Dad. That's not a comedy. That's a nightmare.
Dad. Now, we all know I love Grandma and Grandpa. I know they're not your parents, they're Mom's parents, but listen, we do know y'all both have something in common, and that's the love for Wayne Newton. Wayne Newton. Who doesn't love Wayne Newton? He's the man. We all know you love a good old-fashioned good time. And what's better than a good time than Vegas? Come on. We want to laugh. We want to have fun. We want to feel good. We don't want to cry.
First, Michael J. Fox went Back to the Future. Now, he's a dog. Okay? Come on, guys. And it's either Sally Field or Roseanne Barr as the cat. Either way, we're going to love it.
Dad, Mom, I just have something to say, and it's only 2 words. It's my final argument. Randy Quaid.
I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna give it to you. I don't have a counterpoint to Randy Quaid. Okay, so you would have convinced Mom and Dad to see Vegas Vacation, which I of course think is the wrong choice, but okay.
All right. Well, I got a quick thing for you.
Yeah.
I got something I'm gonna ask. Something I'd like us to do. Say we're in the car.
Okay.
We're in the car. We know we're about to get to our destination. When we get to our destination, we are gonna choose something to do, and we're gonna choose to watch a film, just like us possibly stopping into film. But I want to hear your radio trailer for your film, trying to convince listeners in their cars to go see your movie.
So you want me to just make up a radio spot?
A radio spot,
like
for
a
your
commercial,
film.
But it won't be visual, obviously. Cause
yes,
it's on
just a radio trailer for your film.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Are you gonna time me?
Yeah. I'll give you a third. Let's do a 20-second.
All right. I'll just go until I run out of steam,
Okay, yeah, there you go.
or I hit 15 seconds or 20 seconds.
I'll cap you at 30 seconds.
All right.
And go.
Do you love Michael J. Fox and Sally Field but hate their bodies? Do you have pets? Have you ever had a stepmom or stepdad come into your life and you weren't sure how to process it? Well, check out the new film, Homeward Bound, about 3 animals through trying to make it home for the love of their humans. It's rated PG. It's rated G for kids, not PG, like Vegas Vacation, which is inexplicably for kids. Come see it. It's in theaters now.
Oh, 27 seconds.
27 seconds. Okay, you can fit that. All right, Vegas Vacation. Let's go. Sell me on it.
Hey there, out.
What are you coming at them so friendly for? You got. All right.
All right. This summer, the film you've been waiting for, Vegas Vacation. Yes, Chevy Chase is in the film, but he's not Chevy Chase. He's playing someone else. Your favorite dad, Russ Griswold.
Clark.
That's right. The fourth installment of the National Lampoon's Vacation series. Excuse me, we can't say National Lampoon's. The fourth installment of a series known as the National Lampoons. It's Vegas Vacation. It's fun for everyone. Moms, dads, sons, daughters. It's got Randy Quaid in it.
You can't end both games with just stating Randy Quaid. All right, that was slightly over 30 seconds. This movie came out in February, so you said this summer.
This summer. Yeah, nobody saw it.
All right. Those games, I think we both got a lot from that. I think we were solidified our points.
I feel good about both those.
Let's just get to the fifth criteria. Let's get this over with. Which movie holds your attention the best? So if you're on a road trip and you have a portable DVD player that comes out of the ceiling of your minivan or that you hold in your lap, which one are you probably more likely to watch? These are both short movies, so it's not like a Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, but you don't want something too long, because then it's too much. You know what I'm saying? You want a bunch of different short movies. So the fact that they're both shorter films works for both of them. I'm just gonna go ahead and say Vegas Vacation. It's funny. It's like you can glance away for a second and still know what's going on. It's very funny. It's got sections and parts of the movie that you cannot pay attention to certain parts and pay attention to other parts and be happy. Everybody can be pleased and enjoy a certain story from the film. Homeward Bound, man, it's just one continuous shot of animals running through different scenic lands, and you can look out the window. You can look out the window and see nature. Okay, you don't need to watch this movie.
All right, you know what? I'm gonna agree with you. I think Vegas Vacation holds your attention. I can never really. I don't know about you, but like the speakers were never loud enough. If you ever like watched a movie in the car on a road trip, I can never really hear it that well. Like unless you have speakers plugged in, like the volume on a portable DVD player was not strong. So I think it kind of comes down to what you're saying. Like, what am I okay just watching while I drift my head to look back out the window? And I think it's more visually dynamic to watch fucking Clark Griswold's ass and walking through Vegas than it is to watch some dogs and cats whose mouths aren't moving and I can't hear them, so I really don't even know what they're saying.
Literally just still shots of animals running.
And they're more traditionally on a road trip or a vacation in Vegas Vacation, so I guess it more slightly slots in more. I don't know how that's going to do in the final summary, but I'm going to give it to you.
Okay.
I think before we choose a winner, Leonard, we've done it each time so far. We have to answer a lot of our movies come from the 90s. These movies are both from the 90s, 93 and 97, kind of smack dab in the middle of the 90s. Both of those years have something in common, actually, Leonard.
I already know what it is.
Go ahead.
And that is Michael Jordan won the NBA championship both those years.
Michael Jordan, the GOAT of the 90s. Sports, pop culture, anything, whatever.
If you're talking about the 90s,
you're talking about Michael Jordan.
You're talking about Michael Jordan.
So, I put it to you. Has Michael Jordan ever watched a Chevy Chase movie? Has he ever watched Fletch? I don't even think he's watched Vegas Vacation.
Hold the fuck up. Shut the hell up, Quinn. Because if there was one segment that was easily hands down won by me, it is this right here. Michael Jordan wants to watch a bunch of fucking dogs and cats.
No,
Michael Jordan doesn't give a fuck about animals.
All right, yeah.
What does Michael Jordan love? Gambling.
Oh fuck.
He's a fucking gambling addict. He's probably the biggest gambling addict in the world. Yeah, you forgot about that.
This is no contest. The closest I could make an argument is Michael Jordan, in preparing for Space Jam, was like, I gotta watch some kids movies about animals, and he watched Homeward Bound, but it's not animated. It's not a strong argument. Gambling, the strongest pull that Michael Jordan has ever had, stronger than his pull to win. I guess it's tied up in that. It's a movie about gambling.
He knows Wayne Newton personally.
Yeah.
Siegfried and Roy.
Shit.
He knows them all.
All right. Listen, I think you...
I think we know.
I think the winner has been chosen, and I'm not. Go ahead.
It was a motherfucking slam dunk.
Take your victory lap.
That's right. Not National Lampoon's, but Vegas Vacation is the best, at least in this situation, better
of
road-
best of two,
best of
more
two.
appropriate of two road trip movies.
Yeah, baby. I win.
I kind of win. I
2-1.
still made you watch Homeward Bound.
Yeah, I was very angry with Quinn. I was
Watch
very
Midnight
angry.
Run. Midnight Run is good. It's not going to count for anything, but.
All right, we're now. The record is now 2-1.
All right. I
Next
still like
week,
my chances.
We got a new prop. What's that prop going to be?
Next week we're going to be. This is a more literal one. A few of our ones previous have been ambiguous. This one is pretty straightforward. What is the first movie you snuck into? And that's kind of scary because the movie you snuck into is the movie you snuck into. So I don't know how we're going to figure out which is better, which is more of a kind of like, oh yeah, that's a movie to sneak into kind of thing. But like, we're not going to be able to politic it that much. Yeah. We're just going to have to bare our souls to each other.
Yeah. And this is a pretty good one. I honestly might rewatch my choice because I know what movie, the first movie I snuck into, is very like it's.
I got to think about mine.
Mine is the movie Life, Eddie Murphy.
Oh, okay.
And Martin Lawrence. I think it's gonna be tough to beat. Me and my friends, it was 6th grade. We'll talk about. We can.
You're just going right into.
But basically,
I don't even know mine.
I bought tickets to October Sky, and then I snuck into the movie Life because it was rated R. We weren't old enough to.
I probably bought tickets to Life and snuck into October Sky. All right. Save it. All right, I gotta figure out what mine is. I don't totally remember. We will figure it out. 2-1. We'll probably come back. We're gonna maybe more clearly define how many wins you need to win on the season, what we're playing for more specifically. I know we've talked about it, but we can kind of like set those out, and we'll get into a lot more of those specifics as well as the first movies we snuck into next episode.
You guys have a great night, great day, great week.
See you at the cinema.